Hey guys, it's the Miho Within. This time I got Fluffles. I decided to make an update on this deck since I didn't, since with the ban list it got hits, technically because it used the Brilliant Engine before, but then now I came up with an idea that doesn't use it, and I actually like it a lot more because then you don't even have to worry about drawing into that Garnet. So yeah, let's get into the build. So I'm not really going to go that deep into explanations for the card descriptions because I did in the last video, so I'll just go through it really fast and I'll explain the tech choices. So 3 Fluffle Dogs, 1 Fluffle Owl to search out the polymerization, 1 Fluffle Cat, the extender that gets back poly, 3 Fluffle Bear, the one that searches out your toy vendor, 2 Wings, the one that you want in your graveyard in order for you to get your double draw and search. 3 Penguin. I've seen some people use 2, but I like it at 3. I like the added draw power, just the fact that it is Fluffle in the name. I just like it at 3. Now for the Edgeimps, 1 Edgeimp Sabers, 3 Edgeimp Chain, searches out all your Fright Fur spells. And that's it for the Fluffle and Edgeimps. So now for the new engine that I'm using, instead of the Brilliant Fusion, is I ended up going with Mekk-Knights. So 2 Blue Sky, 1 Indigo Eclipse, and then 3 Purple Nightfall. So the reason I'm using this engine is because what I found that what this deck can do really well is it can bait out hand traps really easily. So you have like your dog, you have your Foolish Burial Goods, you have your toy vendor when it's trying to activate Fright Fur Patchwork, and then now you have your Purple Nightfall and your Blue Sky. So you have so many cards that can be hit by hand traps. So if you play it right, you use some of them as bait. Depending on what you have in your hand, you use the expendable ones. Usually, like if you draw the Mekk-Knights, usually you want to use that first to try and bait out the hand traps, and then you can go for the searches that really matter, that help you go for the OTK. But yeah, and then the Mekk-Knights are also really good because they give you an option to special summon a lot when you're under some floodgates, like for example like Imperial Order, Anti-Spell Fragrance, and then they also help you go for a Link monster, so that you can go for big plays, going for Land for Rinkus, so that you can just go for more special summons with for example Fright Fur Fusion, because normally Fright Fur Fusion isn't that good if you don't have a Link monster. So yeah, I think it makes it really helpful. So that's the Mekk-Knight package. And then that's it for the monsters. Now for the spell cards. You have 2 instant fusions, your 2 targets, Thousand Eyes Restrict, and then the Fright Fur Sheep. 1 Fright Fur Factor. I still think you have to play this card, just the fact that it's a searchable polymerization when you have Edgeimp Chain. Then we have the 3 polymerizations. One Foolish Burial to be able to dump either your Edgeimp the Scissors or the Wings. 2 Burial Goods. I like it at 2, it's a hard once per turn, and then sometimes you might run out of toy vendors to be able to send since you're actually searching them out with Bear. So I think 2 is a good number for Burial Goods. 2 Fright Fur Fusion. This is a card that I used to play at 1, because I didn't think it was that good, because I think it's only good if you have a Link monster on field. But now with the Mekk-Knights, it actually makes it very easy to get Link monsters all the time. So that's why I bumped it up to 2, and I like it so far. And we got our Fright Fur Patchwork, which is an Edgeimp monster plus a polymerization. And last card, we got the Triple Toy Vendor. Really good card. Yeah. The big combo with Wings, it's the biggest plus that you get in the deck. So yeah, that's it for the main deck. Now for the extra deck, we got 2 Fright Fur Tigers. Special summon destroy cards equals to the number of materials you use to special summon him. 2 Kraken. So Kraken's like the most important one. Like if you can get Kraken and then Sabretooth on field, that's just in really easy OTK, that's enough to win. He's also pretty good because in the Thunder Dragon matchup, he's usually what you want to go for first, because the Thunder Dragons, they prevent destruction. Kraken just sends, so he's actually an out for the Thunder Dragons. So double Kraken, triple Sabretooth. It's really important to play 3. I've seen some builds that people that don't use 3, and I'm just like, how can they really manage? Because like, you really need to be able to. It's really useful to loop, like Sabretooth, bring back the edge imp you used. Like for example, let's say Kraken. You bring back the Kraken, and then you can fuse the Kraken and the Sabretooth, or you fuse the Sabretooth with something else to make another Sabretooth, and then Sabretooth just brings back the Sabretooth you used. So then you can just keep on looping it. It's a really easy loop to do, and it makes it especially easier when you have Fluffle Cat. So I think it's really important to run 3. And we have our Fright vs. Sheep. It's the one that doesn't let your opponent activate cards during the battle step. So it's pretty good against like, strange matchups. Like for example, let's say Cosmos. Like this can just beat over the ships and they don't get any effects. Also, it's your instant fusion target. So that's it. Then we got our 2 1-ofs, Wolf and Daredevil. So Wolf is just there to get the multi-attacks. If you ever need to clear a field that has a bunch of little monsters, he's the one that can like just attack a bunch of times, equal to the number that you used. So you usually only go for him if you have when you use Fright for Fusion. And Daredevil's just here just because he's a 3000 beater, in case you ever need it. If like you have to deal with like say for example skill drain being on the field, or Monarchs Erupt or something like that. So that's the reason for playing these 2. Then we have Thousand Eyes Restrict, because he's also an instant fusion target. And now for the Link monsters. We have the most important one is this one, Lanfurunkus. So the Link 2 with 2 arrows pointing down. So you can just use Fluffle Monster plus Mekk-Knight like I was saying. There's other ways to just get 2 bodies on board just to make this guy. Yeah, he's the main one that lets you go for multiple different Fright Fritters. And then we have Nightmare Phoenix. He's important to use because if you're dealing with like, let's say a Secret Village of the Spellcasters, what I was saying earlier, Imperial Order, or Anti-Spell Fragrance, you need something that can get rid of those like Floodgate type cards. And yeah, Nightmare Phoenix is the best thing to use for that occasion. And then since you're using Phoenix, you have a Link 2, but then it doesn't have any arrows pointing downwards. So that's why I like using Decode Talker. That way after you make the Phoenix, then you can just use another monster and make the Decode. That way you have 2 arrows pointing down. And then last card is Borreload. So I actually think it's better to use Boral Sword over Borreload in this deck, just because it's OTK focused, and Boral Sword just helps you go for OTKs even easier. But I don't have one. But if you have one, I suggest you using Boral Sword. So, and that's it for the whole deck. As for side deck, I don't have one build right now, but let me explain kind of what you want to look for and to side for matchups, what you should be worried about the most. So like Gozen and Rivalry is pretty tough to go against with this deck. So I think you would want to side in like a bunch of Twin Twisters. The Dino Wrestler Pankratops, Red Reboot for the Altergeist matchup, and that's it for back row removal. And then another hard matchup is Thunder Dragons, because if you don't open up a combo to be able to go into Kraken easily, like on your second turn, then you kind of struggle. So I'd suggest putting in Mind Controls in the deck. And yeah, I think that covers up most of the hardest matchups. Oh yeah, to cover up, this is a going second deck, especially with the Mekk-Knights. The amount of spell cards that you can search out and everything makes it easy to go to special summon your Mekk-Knights easily. And then yeah, so you always want to go second. There really is no like going first strong board that you can put out. at best you put out like a Fright for Sheep, or you either do a Sabretooth that used up 3 materials for protection. But yeah, other than that, I can't really think of... I've seen builds where they use Glow Up Bulb just so you can go first turn Naturia Beast. I guess you can side deck that in just so you can go Nat Beast first turn if they make you go first. But yeah, that's it. I think that covers a lot of information for Fluffles if you guys were ever interested in playing this deck. I think it's really strong. It's a lot of fun, definitely, for sure. So yeah, that's it for the Fluffle deck. I'll be back at it with more decks. I know you guys want an update on the For Hire deck, so I'll make that one soon. I'm just waiting on a few cards that I need to get in order to finish it. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.